Hello and welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast. For each week, we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows. We talk about it with our friends in the fandom. I am Carmen Askernes, and I'm joined as always by the amazing Kimberly Woods. Hello.
Hey, hot potatoes.
And this season, we are watching Three Body Problem.
And today we're on episode 7 out of 8. It's called Only Advance. The description: a bold proposition for the Staircase Project puts the group at odds. Will weighs his options. Ye returns to familiar place. Dun dun. This is your warning if you have not watched all the previous episodes to go ahead and do that now and then come and join us. So,
Yes,
Carmen.
or you will have a 3 spoiler problem.
Yeah, What did you think of this episode?
You know what? I like this episode a lot because Will is my favorite character, and I feel like he's the heart of the show. And I'm so glad that we had so many moments with him. And I was, like I said last time, was really curious, like, how does he fit into all of this? And yeah, I feel like I should have seen that coming, but I didn't.
I didn't see it
it was
coming.
great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I really thought he was the heart of the story. I really love the kind of love story that it made this episode. Like, the fact that a lot of the things he was doing was because of his love for Jen.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty beautiful.
When he confesses his love for her.
Wait, does he? I thought he did it mostly through his actions.
But when she's there with him, before, like, and he's like kind of out of it or whatever, and he says that he loves her, and then she like cries with him.
Yeah. I think I love it so much too because it's like he almost didn't even need to say it because every single thing he was doing was for her. And he didn't, I like the fact that we find out too, like he didn't even tell her that it was him that purchased the star. Like she'd only found out in the end from our main guy. What's his name? Wade?
Thomas Wade.
Yeah, Wade.
Thomas Wade, yeah.
Yeah. Also the fact that, I mean, that whole scene where like Saul is with him, it's just Saul. And he has to press the button like 5 times to say that, yes, he wants to die. And I'm like, oh my God, hurry up, Jen, hurry up, make it. Like he's pressed it. I was like counting like how many times he was pressing it, hoping like Saul was going to stall him some more. And the fact that she doesn't make it is so tragic, you know, like by the time she gets there, his brain's already out. It's just really sad. And then the visuals too of him and the boat, like, you know, that she had put on the ocean for them. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. I love that she doesn't make it. In my head, while it was happening, I was like, I hope she doesn't make it. I'm just like, delicious sadness.
Monster!
I love the delicious sadness. Eat it up. The beautiful tragedy.
So do you think she's going to be like talking
really
to his head
moment.
now?
Oh, yeah, she'll be holding it.
Sorry, I didn't.
Giving a Shakespearean monologue.
You don't know what this means.
This is the start of her villain arc, yeah.
I also thought it was interesting, like, just the tension within Jen, like the complicated feelings that she had, because she also knew that basically, like, Will was their only option, and that's her friend, you know, and, like, she didn't want to make him go, but in the end, she couldn't really literally tell him not to. Like, there was, like, a little piece of her that did, like, she kind of did want him to go, as horrible as it is. And you could kind of see that in the scene. Like, he was like, you're not going to tell me unless you tell me not to. And at that point, he'd already won the argument. And she knew she'd lost the argument. But, like, you know, there's that small piece of her as a scientist that's, like, wanted it, as horrible as that is.
I love that he tells her, like, if you don't want me to go, then I won't. And she can't because she knows that they need him to go.
He's our only hope.
He's the only. And
Obi-Wan
I was
Kenobi.
laughing at the moment when Raj was like, "Save me!" Yeah, when Raj was like, "Oh, Will gave this to you." Like, "Oh, that's weird." And then Jen's like, "No, it wasn't him. Like, it could be anybody."
I also like how Wade's like, it's pointless. Like, just go ahead and like sell the star again and get some money.
Yeah.
Really
I mean,
funny.
we get it. He is very much like a matter of fact, like utilitarian kind of person we see. And so to him, he's like, it's sentimental value doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
The stuff he throws around in this episode, like, I had to pause and be like, wait, what is happening? Like, after we saw the experiment with the chimp, and then he's like, okay, well, time to go into hibernation. I'm just going to come out once every year and oversee this. And yep, that's how it's going to be. What is that?
He's like, there's nobody
just
on the
another
planet
Friday.
who can do this except for me.
Yeah.
Only advance. Yeah.
Yeah, only advance. What is that, a magic 8-ball? Okay.
Augie is the wildest character in this show.
What did you think about her decision to leave and, go take her research and release it for everybody to...
I love that part. I mean, also I think the show is at its strongest when we see the friend group together. And I love that scene where she tells Jen that she can't stay. And she tells Jen that she loves her, but she can't stay here. And they have that sweet goodbye. I thought that was really great. And I loved Augie uploading everything open source online so that people can use the tech. She cites how it's happened before at other companies, and I'm like, I feel like that was a thing, but I feel like because that would have been in our lifetime, and then all of those things would have happened. And so I'm like, I feel like those are things that happened, but I don't remember. But I just think that it's cool because it's the idea of scientific advancement and knowledge, essentially, the scientific knowledge being open source and being something that is available to the public instead of this owned by a private company. I love that idea, and that she's fighting for that. Because I mean, in one of the first episodes I mentioned of she was like, "You need me," and I was like, "Augie doesn't know how corporate America works." And so I like that this is more realistic of yeah, they would not care at all about Augie. So
yeah. I also think it's weird that her partner or whatever who she's visiting and telling this to is also the guy who's invested in Dashi's son's idea about investing for, future escape. I'm like, what is going on with this guy?
Yeah. I thought Dashi's son, I don't remember his name. He's only shown up a few times, but I love I was cracking up when he was talking about his idea. I'm not going to name names, but it reminds me of certain things, of certain projects that people have made. And they're like, hey, you can give us money and we promise that you'll get this thing. And people are like, oh yeah. And it's just this total, as Dashi said, bollocks.
Yeah.
but I can see that the person, the investor guy, he's like, oh, this is a chance for us to make a lot of money because now that everybody's talking about space and the Sofans will be able to get people to buy into this. So I'm curious to see if they try to actually make this into a thing, how that ties in with the Sofans and everything else that's happening, or if this is just that guy taking advantage of some kid.
What I liked in this episode too is that everybody knows that the Sofans are watching. So it's at this point, everything that everybody is doing, they're doing with the knowledge that the Sofans are watching. And people are trying to give certain signals or give secret messages that the Sofans can't pick up on. And Wade has this thing in the beginning around the time when Augie talks about the magic 8-ball where he's like, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. What number am I thinking of? And they're like, I don't know. And he's like, well, exactly. Sofans don't know our thoughts. They don't know if it's So we have that moment. And then there's that wonderful moment of when Jay and Saul both visiting Vera's grave, and when Jay has this tells a joke, right? This joke about Einstein being in heaven, and he was given a violin, which was his favorite instrument, and he was told, like, don't play with God. But he heard God playing and he couldn't resist, and so he played with God, and then they got his instrument taken away, and angels came back and like, we warned you, don't play with God. And at the end, she's like, jokes are important. We wouldn't survive without them. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And so I'm like, oh yes, I'm loving this. Like, okay, so yes, jokes are one way. We've like seen like fables, like they don't understand fables. So I like getting introduced to like what elements are they using that the Santi can't pick up on. And also she seemed to be saying to me too, like, not only jokes work, but maybe like get back to work or something. Like there was another message within that message of
Yeah.
like, they say don't do like don't play with God, but wink wink. Maybe get back to your research, Saul. What did you think,
I love
Carmen?
the
What was she
coded
trying to
message.
say?
I mean, I love the coded message. I do think that I wish it was a little more subtle, but at the same time, I think that is is good that they explain it. I mean, she does mention that like Saul is supposed to be like the most intelligent out of the friend group or whatever,
Mhm.
and we haven't really seen him in action. And I mean, I guess looking at it from the angle of like maybe he was grieving after Vera died and he's just kind of walked away from everything. I guess
Mhm.
is like she's trying to help him get back into his research because it may be important, and she's trying to give him the key to survival, or at least to how to fight the Sofans and everything. So I'm interested to see what happens. I mean, I feel like I hope that there's more than one season because I'm like, what's going to happen with one episode left?
I
But
think
we'll
there
see.
has to be. That would be a tall order to wrap this up in one episode.
That would be wild.
But I also like this idea because she mentions like humor is very specific to each person too. Like some jokes only two people can understand because of their history. So I'm hoping that maybe we get to see this in action a little bit with the friend group since they have a history with each other. It's like, how are they going to be
Mm.
communicating in these subtle ways that the Santi can't pick up on?
I mean, I think that like using inside jokes and stuff like that could be interesting. I feel like we haven't had that much time with them all together so that we can feel like we're part of their friend group and like understand their dynamics and stuff. I feel like if this is not meant to be like, oh, hey, we can use jokes to secretly communicate. And it was just like a weird conversation. And I feel like it's really cringy. So I'm hoping that it is just like, oh, hey, you should like use jokes and other things they don't understand to communicate.
Yeah. I feel like it has to be because also, like, again, in this episode, they bring up, like, Will makes some sort of joke. Again, like, which fairy tale person am I going, like, my head's going in this thing. Which fairy tale which fairy tale am I? And we keep seeing him, like, holding that Fables book. So I'm, like, waiting
Mhm.
for that to have some sort of significance here for them. I feel like it has to. They keep
Yeah, it
showing
has come
it.
up a few times. It's been shown a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm
Well,
excited to see
there
what
was
they
that
do with
moment
that.
when Will was talking. Oh yeah, me too. But there was that moment when Will was talking to Saul and he was saying that like, when you're out there, you're going to be all alone and they could essentially bring you back. The Santi can bring you back and experiment on you and kill you and keep you from dying and all this kind of stuff. So I wonder, because we've seen the Fables book with Will most of the time, if that's something he can use against the Santi if he ends up being their prisoner or something like that. So I
Mhm.
don't know. I mean, if he, I don't know what's going to happen. It's very, very weird now, and so I like that it's weird, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm also excited for the possibility of it might not mean that Will is dead. like, because of the technology of the
Mm.
Santi, like, the fact that, "Oh, he could be rebuilt," like, maybe he's not gone. So, I don't know what it means, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it means. In
Oh,
this
and then towards
episode
the end of the
oh,
episode, oh, I was just gonna say, towards the end of the episode, we see Tatiana, aka Cigarette Girl, and she's like living in the woods, like eating beans or whatever, just like being weird, watching Mari or whatever she's doing. And then the Sofan is like, "We need you. You're one of us." And I'm like, dang, this girl is indoctrinated. She's like, oh, yes, I'm nothing. I'll do whatever you say. I'm like, dang, Dashi should have smoked her when he had the chance because she is dangerous.
the idea too, it's like because it seemed like initially, I don't know, she might have been, like, acting out of her own, like, when she was killing people, it seemed to be part of her, like, obsession with this that was driving her that far, but obviously the Sofans, the Santi know that and seem to be, like, choosing her because of that trait, um, to go deal with Wenji.
Mm, deal with.
But can we say okay.
So we have that scene before. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just
No,
gonna
no,
add, like,
go
we had
ahead,
that
go
scene
ahead.
last episode where, yeah, when Jay was like, I still have some value left, and we thought she was talking to the Sofans, and we don't know what she said. And so I thought it was really interesting that in this episode they send Cigarette Girl, I'm just gonna keep calling her that because it's fun, to take Win Jay out. Because I'm like, what, like, whatever offer Win Jay made, it seems like they're not interested.
Yeah, and it also seems like Wenji at this point is going there to die herself anyway. Like, she almost looks like she was about
Mhm.
to commit suicide because she knew that whatever she had done, she wouldn't be allowed to survive. Even when she was talking to Saul, she tells him, like, "I don't have much time left." So what did she do, Carmen? And did she do it on screen where we saw it and I'm not picking up on it, or was it something she did off screen? Because we see her, like, she says, "I have an idea or 2 left in me." And then she's looking at the game theory book and Fermi's paradox, and she's, like, dropping hints to Saul, and I'm like, "Okay, is it one of these things? Like, what did she do? What did she find out? Why can they not let her live?"
I mean, there's a part of me just because, I love video games and all that kind of stuff. That's like the secret to defeating them is to play 3 body and get to the last level and all this kind of stuff. So I just want to see it because it's cool. So I hope that's what it
Yeah,
is, but we'll see.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in this last episode because that would be really cool. Ooh, one thing that was surprising too was we see a picture of Vera when she's a little girl, and it turns out that the little girl in the games was based on Vera. So that's Wenjie's daughter.
Oh, follower.
Yeah, she was a little
I
girl in
didn't
the
pick up on that.
games, and I was like, "Oh my god, she built the game around her," you know? So it is kinda sad that it seemed
Dang.
like Wenjie did have this idea, like, that the Santi were gonna come at her moment of desperation when she did this, that they were gonna come and help be salvation for humanity, not destroy it, and then it's like her daughter found out, couldn't deal with it, like, the daughter that she was trying to get everybody to save in the game, um, was the one that she ended up, like, it's her actions that ended up leading to her daughter's death that she was, like, trying to get everybody to save in the game.
Yeah. I just had an idea. So in one of the early episodes, when Win Jay first makes contact, and the person on the other end is like, do not respond, they'll come and conquer you. It makes me wonder, like, because that person, I get the impression, we don't know for sure, that person is not a Santi. And so it's like, are there other people who they've subjugated who are like on the ship with them? Is that what's going to happen to Will? Is Will going to meet some of those people when he gets out there? So I don't know. We'll see. I definitely feel like I get the feeling that like will have some sort of body. I hope they put him in like a. We were talking before we started recording, and I was like, Will's gonna be Krang from Ninja Turtles, so I hope they just put him in a big old buff wrestler body. That's the head in the center of the stomach, like Krang. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I can't remember if we mentioned this before, but, like, in the books oh, I've only read book 1, so I'm only speaking for book 1. In book 1, they do show, like, the listener that's over there. Like, we get to, like, see the
Mhm.
Santi. Like, they show their viewpoint a little bit. Um,
Ooh,
but it seems like it's because they can't lie, like, that they already know that he, like, listened. Like, he knew that he was gonna get found out. It wasn't like he was trying to hide it because, like, things that they do are known. So, I don't know.
mm,
But I don't know how yeah, I'm very
I
curious
don't
to see
know.
how Will is going to get involved with their culture and what that's going to mean.
I'm curious too.
Well, we only have 1 episode left of the season, so I think there's gonna be a lot happening in this final episode.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. We're at Take This TV on TikTok and Instagram. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review. It helps us grow. And send us a comment. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.